So we've talked about the importance of understanding your core beliefs and your guiding principles in making sure that you are attracting the right people to your organization. But another layer on having a great team is making sure that you have people who can do different things in order to move your organization forward. And that's where the Kolbe A Index comes in. And today I'm going to tell you how to use it to do just that. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sarah Olivieri. I'm a #1 international best-selling author, former executive director, and creator of the Impact Method. And I love helping nonprofit leaders change the way they run their organizations so that they can make a bigger impact without getting overwhelmed or burning out. And this is a fantastic tool to help you do just that. So if you're with me live, please take a moment to find the chat, introduce yourself, and let me know whether or not you already have taken the Kolbe assessment. And if you want to share your score, you are welcome to do that. And if not, that's fine too. But just let me know yes or no. And if you're watching the recording, feel free to put your score if you want in the comments. So have you taken the Kolbe A assessment already? Let me know in the chat. And I'm going to go into how to use it as you do that. So I briefly covered this a moment ago, but what is the Kolbe Index? You might be familiar with Myers-Briggs and some other assessments and wondering how this is different. So there's kind of 3 realms of being as human beings. We have our thinking realm. What kind of intelligence do we have? This can be skills, reasoning abilities, knowledge, or education or experience that we have. We have our feeling selves. What type of personality are we? What are our desires, motivations, our attitudes and preferences, our emotional states, and our values? And then we have our doing self. So that's how we take action. It's our drive or instinct to act or how we act, our mental energy, that should be on 2 lines, and our any sort of innate force or ability for doing things, and just our general doing talents. And that is where the Kolbe A Index is unique. It's all about the doing, right? So when you're aligning your team around core values, guiding principles, or a core belief, you're really aligning around thinking and feeling. And these are around choices. But doing is a little different because it's how someone is likely going to approach a situation and deal with it, and less about the choices that they're making in doing something. So, why is this helpful? Well, it helps us know who should be doing what, right? Which team members are best for which types of tasks or projects or things to be accountable for in our organization. It also helps us how to know the best way to communicate projects or tasks to someone. So if you're regularly delegating to someone, it is really helpful to know their Kolbe score, which we're going to show you what that looks like in a minute if you haven't done yours already. We want to know your Kolbe score. And that way it helps me know what things to give the person I'm delegating to and what things maybe not to give them. And also to the nature of the information I'm going to provide them and the parameters I'm going to tell them as I delegate. It also helps us know who should be on, quote, the team, whether or not this is in a department, your entire organization, possibly even your board, however you're defining team, this can help you know who should be on it. So who on your team is, has similar talents, different talents? Where do you have gaps that you might want to fill in? Where do you have areas that you want to, like, if you wanted to say duplicate, so if you wanted more Sarahs on your team, you could look for somebody with the same or similar Kolbe score as me. And then probably you'll get someone who is likely to be a good second Sarah on your team. And the last thing, which we're not going to go into today because we'll do it on another recording, but this is also a great way to learn about how to have more energy in your day. You can actually use your Kolbe score to decide what you should be doing or not be doing, and the order in which you should do your day tasks. So we will do that on another training because it's kind of a great topic in itself. And if you get the Kolbe assessment, you will get a report that will also give you that information specifically for you. So when you do your assessment, and it does cost like $50 or $55, I don't work for Kolbe, I can't change that price, but it is definitely worth doing it if you're having any friction on your team, or if you're considering a hire. It is worth every penny to have your applicants or your likely candidates take their Kolbe assessment. You will save many, many dollars on the back end by hiring the right person. So you'll get this report, and Kolbe's going to give you like some videos and some explanation about what this all means. But everybody's going to end up with a set of 4 numbers, and they're always going to be in this order, left to right. So this person's a 4.575, and people who know Kolbe, if you tell them, oh, I'm a 4.575, they'll be like, oh yeah, I totally get it. But I found when I was first introduced to Kolbe that the language that was used around these numbers kind of wasn't clear. And so I'm going to give you some of the Kolbe language, which I have modified with my own language in order to help you understand your score. So take a look here with me. I've charted it out. We have the 4 columns. The numbers go lowest at the top, highest at the bottom. So if you're a 4, 5, 3, 8, you would be in here a 4, you'd be a 5 here, you'd be a 3 here, and you'd be an 8 here, for example. And I'm going to give you a few more examples so you can kind of get a grip on this. But I have replaced, and if you look back, the Kolbe report has fact finder, follow through, quick start, implementer. And man, did I misunderstand a couple of these the first time I went through it. So I have renamed them. Fact finder is now data, follow through is now process, quick start is risk, and implementer is physical, because these are much literally where they lined. And guess where one of my scores in? I am an optimizer to the extreme when it comes to processes, which is why I took the process of getting your Kolbe score and I modified and improved how you understand it. And that's what I'm teaching you here today. So the first number is about your relationship to dealing with data or information, right? And it's not good to be a high number or a low number. It just is what it is. And the big picture that I want you to see here is if you're a high number, a 7, 8, or 9, it means you really embrace the thing that is titled up here. So if you are a 7, 8, or 9 in data, then you love information and facts. You want the complete picture. You are a researcher. You're going to dig in. You're going to gather information and document it. You're going to provide specifics. You're going to provide the hard data. That's the way you're going to deal with data. If you are at the opposite end, it means you kind of resist it. You kind of take an opposite approach. So if you're a 1, 2, or 3 in the fact finder, which I'm renaming data for us for our own understanding, you're all about seeing the big picture. You'll take just the amount of information you need, but really you want to just skip all the extra data and go right to the core 1 or 2 pieces of information you need to know to get the bulk of a big picture understanding. And your focus is really all on the big picture. If you're in the middle set of numbers, 4, 5, or 6, again in the data column, but this one is true for all the way through. So reaction means you work with it. So people who are 4, 5, or 6 are really good at learning from information and maybe reframing it to teach it back out. So they like to work with data, but they're not all focused and living in the data. They like to put it out and arrange it so that other people can use it or turn data into something useful for other people. If you are a process, and this is follow through in the Colby language, but I call it process, DPRP is how I remember it. Process people are, again, they're either resisting or totally embracing. So at the low number end, if you're a 1, 2, or 3, you're a wing it type of person. You want straightforward solutions with the shortcuts. And if the process isn't exactly what you already wanted to do, you're like, whatever, I don't need no process. I'm just going to do it. And you're probably pretty good at winging it in situations that call for winging it. If you're the kind of middle range, 4, 5, or 6, you're an optimizer when it comes to processes. So you're going to make sure that the systems that are in place are as good as possible. You're not going to have processes with waste or excess. Any of you who know about lean, lean is like the world of people who are optimizers. They want those processes super streamlined. You're going to take what's there and modify it and improve it, or put in other already proven processes to make the system really work well. And if you're a 7, 8, or 9, you love processes. You're going to take whatever process is given to you and you're going to embrace the checking off everything. You're the checklist master. You're detail oriented. You don't let things fall through the cracks. You give somebody who's in 7, 8, or 9 a task to follow a process and they're going to follow it to a T pretty much every time. The next column, which is called quick start in Colby language, but I have renamed risk, is all about how you embrace or don't embrace risk. So at the low end, you don't embrace, right? We're in the resist it column. So a low number, 1, 2, or 3, you're a stabilizer type person. You're going to stay on course. You're going to prevent hasty decisions. You're that person like, I don't know, I'm not about the change. If you're in the middle range of 4, 5, or 6, you're like the navigator type, right? If you have to get through a bunch of risk safely and kind of balance risk with not taking risk, you want a navigator at the helm. You're kind of going through uncertainty, trying to make everybody safe. That's a great kind of person if you're kind of having to navigate a bunch of risk or challenging dynamic that maybe came from the external world, hint, hint, coronavirus. Right now is a great time for navigators. Then at the high level, the embracing it level, 7, 8s, and 9s in this column, they like risk. I won't say they love risk, but they're comfortable with it. They embrace it. They see it as a strength. So they are great for if you need to be experimenting or exploring, if you're going into if you need to go into uncharted territory and you put an innovator or a destabilizer type at the helm, they're gonna just go right in. They're not gonna worry and hem and haw about whether or not we should do it. They're gonna be like, let's go. They're really great folks too to lead an innovation initiative. And then finally, in the physical realm, which in Colby, they call this implementer, but they're really talking about tools and physical space. So in the resisting it is the kind of envision type person, someone who can deal really well in this just abstract. I don't need to build it. I can see it in my head. I got enough details. I don't need everything put out. They can deal with abstract solutions. What I'm doing right now, I happen to be very comfortable talking to you on Zoom through the internet. I'm using technology. I can't even see you. I do pretty well in the abstract. These people are also really good if you need to kind of save some time and money and prevent overbuilding. In the middle range, we have what I've called kind of the fixer, right? In the tangible world, there may be restoring furniture or repairing systems, physical systems. If you have a maintenance person in a building, high chance that there are 4, 5, or 6 in the physical, which is called implementer and Colby, in the physical tangible realm. In the embrace it column, there's what I call the engineer, or if you're part of the maker community, you're probably a 7, 8, or 9 in here. You're a mastery of machinery and tools. They are, they bend to your will. You have a tool for everything probably. And you are a builder, a creator. If you need something created from nothing, you want a 7, 8, or 9 in here leading the way. So let's take a look at some here's MacGyver. Who remembers a MacGyver? Give me a hey if you remember MacGyver. If you don't know who MacGyver was, he's a TV character who kind of could fix anything in the craziest emergency situations. We used to joke that all he needed was like some floss and a toothpick and he could save the world. So I just thought it would be fun to take this character and map out where he might fall on the Kolbe Index. So I'd say MacGyver's probably like resist the data. He doesn't need data, right? He's got like milliseconds to figure out what's going on, get the big picture, and then he's boom, he's on it. He's ready to go and start implementing a solution. He's going to wing it. Nothing has been come before him. The normal processes are all out the window. MacGyver's just going in without a process. He's comfortable with the risky situation. I wouldn't call him a destabilizer. Even I wouldn't say he embraces risk. He doesn't try to do risky things. He just finds himself in very risky situations and navigates through it. And finally, everything in the world is a tool that's useful for him, and he can fabricate incredible solutions seemingly out of nothing. He's totally a physical engineer maker type. Let's talk about my team. I have a small team. It's me and Rachel. Rachel you rarely see. So let's talk about our scores. So I'm a 5, 6, 6, 3. So what does that mean? I have the way I deal with data or fact finder is I like to research a bit. I learn it, I digest it, I'm ready to spit it out into information to teach other people, hence what I'm doing right now. And I'm right in the middle of the road with it at a 5. Processes. I am a process optimizer, probably to the extreme. And in fact, most of my work of creating solutions for clients at PivotGround is around optimizing processes that can be scaled and taught over in the Learn It, Teach It column to as many nonprofits as possible. I'm also very much a navigator. People who know me, they definitely lean on me for leadership during uncertain times. And I'm kind of at the higher end. I'm definitely more willing to take risks than Rachel, who's also a navigator, but she tends to lean a little closer to not taking risks. And I'm definitely more towards the I'm comfortable with taking the risk kind of tendency. And then in the physical, I live in the thinking world, in my brain. I am very much an abstract person. Now, Rachel, I hired Rachel and I saw her Kolbe score as part of the hiring process. I was specifically looking to pseudo duplicate myself. I wanted somebody who could kind of fill in communication for me when I wasn't available, help manage a lot of the things that I was doing. But I also wanted someone who would really not let me drop the ball on any processes that I created for my own business. I wanted to make sure that they got done and done with fidelity. And so here we have Rachel, who in many ways is similar to me. But you will see there's one area where she's quite different. Excuse me. She is an 8 down here as a checklist master. If you ask her to create a process from scratch, she's not going to have a great time with that. But if you ask her to make sure a process gets done, it is getting done every day. If it's not getting done, or if I broke the process, she's letting me know that something happened. And so this makes a fantastic team for having a bit more of Sarah and an area where I specifically needed a lot done and wasn't able to do it myself. Because for me, as a 6 and not a 7, 8, or 9, I actually find following processes, even the ones I created, a little bit boring. I'll do them because I know it's good for me, but it's not my favorite. So that is the end of my training for today. I will do another training on how to use your Kolbe score to get more energy in your day and approach your tasks better. In the meantime, if you'd like to have a call with me one-on-one, you are welcome to go to pivotground.com/apply.